Today, I'm gonna be talking about a very common question in sort of like the Christian community or for people just getting into, I guess, Christ, and that is why God allows suffering. I know this is a very, very popular question that people ask Christians, whether they're new in their faith or not, and I just feel like I should answer it because I have a pretty good reason, or at least I have the reason. And yeah, so really with suffering, it all comes from the very beginning. Because in the very beginning, story of Adam and Eve, God made the world in its perfect image. He created Adam and then created his perfect partner Eve. And eventually he had the apple of knowledge, the truth, whatever, and they ended up eating the apple, right, and gaining the knowledge of just like earthly things. And through that is when sin entered the world, and sin is very bad. It's what leads to separation from Christ. It is what yeah, it's really, to put it shortly, sin is the separation, or the thing that separates us from God, and or the things, I guess. And I'd say, oh no, I'm lagging a lot, but like I was saying, so with that sin, that's like where all the bad things happened, or where evil has entered the world, where the devil, Lucifer, the very like the definition of evil, entered the world because of him tricking Eve and Adam into eating the apple. And people are like, oh well, why didn't God just prevent them from eating the apple? And this is the main reason why suffering exists, is because of free will. Because God is actually so loving that he gave us the option to follow him or not, that he gave us the option to either, continue to do what he wants us to do, or to do life how we want to. And I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding that because, they think that, oh, if God's so almighty and so powerful, why doesn't he just end suffering? And why doesn't he go out and, with the Holocaust and with the bombing of Hiroshima, all these things, like, why didn't God do something about it? It's because the enemy has control over this world. God has his hand over this world, and so that's why, we're still able to, learn about God. But other than that, the devil owns this world. And so there's naturally going to be evil things that happen, and it's going to be from the enemy, and I feel like, yeah, like God doesn't like, obviously God doesn't like seeing these things happen, but in Revelations it talks about how God will wipe away all the tears from every cheek after he returns. And there's so many interpretations from that. One of them being that, with all the hurt and suffering and pain, God will get rid of that. He will wipe away the tears, and there'll be a rejoice in heaven of just happiness and lovingness, just all these good things. But I'm kind of getting off track, but God allows these things happen to show his love, because a loving God would not, you know, uh, a loving God would not force us to do everything they wanted us to do. Because obviously God could have, like, definitely just sit there and be like, okay, well, day and today I want you not to go and do this. I want you to do that instead, and I want you to, not do this and not do that. And that's not loving. That's controlling. And love is not just a feeling, but it's an action. And through that action, God's love and his action that he's showing is giving us free will. And so the whole reason why there is suffering in this world is because God is letting us have this free will, and it's such a blessing to have this free will. Even though sometimes I wish, I could not have free will, because it leads me into sin. But it gives us a appreciation and understanding of God's love. And obviously, like, it's a hard concept for a lot of people, because it promotes violence, and it promotes the evil in the world. There are obviously some people are like, I don't want there to be evil in the world, because, it's terrible. Like, if anything, I just had an aunt who passed away from cancer. And did that suck? Yes. Did I wish that cancer didn't exist? Heck yeah, I do. But I'm not out here blaming God because I understand that cancer and things like these only exist because of the enemy. And I know that now my aunt hopefully is in a better place and she's with God. And while it does suck, it's a gift. It's a bittersweet gift because now that we have free will, we're able to build a better relationship with God. Our relationships with God will have a deeper meaning because now it shows that we're choosing with our own free will, that we're dedicating our lives to God and to Christ, and to kind of just like really show that we're committed. Because obviously you can say you love someone and then go ahead the next day and stab them in the back, and that's also like another reason why the free will thing is such a big topic, is because it's like God doesn't want our relationships with him to have like to be more of like a like, oh, I gotta do this now because this is what it says so or whatever. But God wants us out of our own free will to build that relationship with him, because that's love isn't like something that you can really force. It's something that you build, you know. But yeah, I'd say overall, uh, love, or the reason why there is so much suffering in this world, is because of God's love. And that's like, obviously it could go more into depth with that saying, but there's suffering to show God's love. And yeah, oh, perfect timing. Just broke my axe. Just built my house. Yeah, I hope that answers some basic questions that a lot of people have. And this is kind of like a shorter video. I've been this whole series so far, I've been trying to find a place to build a house. But yeah, I hope that answers a lot of your questions. I hope anyone who's watching this has an amazing rest of their day or night. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.